There are three techniques of persuasion: basic persuasion techniques, intermediate persuasion, and advanced persuasion. We will demonstrate two examples for each technique in media and relate it to media literacy and why this matters for youth today.
So the first persuasion technique we're going to be talking about is the technique bandwagon. It's one of the basic persuasion techniques. It's one that youth often fall for, and it's important for you to recognize this technique because of how common it's used today in advertisements. When they see in the ad that millions use or switched over, they think that they should start using it as well. The item becomes more credible based on the facts that others are using it. So just on this ad, it says right here, over a million Australians have already tried Oral-B toothpastes. Whether this is true or not, it's gonna get people to fall for it and maybe think, oh, people really are switching to this, I should too. Especially youth who is gonna see this the most and are most easily convinced.
A basic persuasion technique is using celebrities. Celebrity endorsements are used as a technique to gain credibility. Youths pay attention to these ads because they are famous and oftentimes a familiar face that draws them in. Youth often view celebrities as their role models and will follow what they do.
So next we have the intermediate persuasion technique, scientific evidence. So the scientific evidence persuasion technique often fools youth. They see a video or statistic in media and without fact checking, they often believe it. So for the L'Oreal ad, there is a lot of scientific format thrown in to make their skincare products seem more legitimate. Whether what they have on the ad is true or not, it draws people into the product. Another example that I can think of is a common one on Facebook. There's a lot of times where there's a picture or a video that throws a lot of statistics out there and scientific evidence with not very many sources. And oftentimes, like youth use media as such as Facebook as their form of news. And so when they see these statistics, they're going to believe them without doing their own fact checking. So this is something that's important for them to be aware of, especially with ads, and realizing that just because it shows something that looks scientific does not mean that this ad is really going to be the best option for the product that they're showing.
An intermediate persuasion technique is using new products. When youth see advertisements for new products, it can easily take over their desires. They can see how it's new and therefore best. Apple is one of the best companies at convincing consumers of this. Youth need to be aware of this technique and realize they do not always need the newest product.
So now we have the advanced persuasion technique for timing. So this specific ad is for Starbucks, and this timing persuasion technique makes people feel like they have to hurry in and get the item before the deal ends. Um, it can create a bigger following from the youth and create an addiction, and youth must learn that they do not always need to spend money on Starbucks and items like these just because of the timing. On the specific ad, it has the dates November 13th through 17th and those specific times 2 to 5 p.m. So you can buy one holiday drink and get one free to share. Whereas saving about $5 does seem like a good idea for a lot of people, this doesn't mean that they have to go and get this drink, and it's just something that draws in people. And yes, they do get something free out of it, but it is still you going and spending money that you may not have needed to spend or want to spend before you saw this ad.
An advanced persuasion technique is diversion. Diversion moves our attention from a problem or issue by raising a separate issue where the persuader has a better chance of convincing us. This Pop Chips ad uses Katy Perry saying she eats these chips and can stay in shape. It distracts you from the fact that these are junk food. Youth should be aware of this because it is often used to make things seem better than they actually are.
To conclude, there are multiple persuasion techniques that are used in all forms of media. Youth are one of the most common users of media and the most easily persuaded. They need to be educated in the different forms that they can be taken advantage of and persuaded. Our hope is that these popular forms of persuasion and why it matters to youth has helped to educate them.